right. Welcome, everybody, to the Red Eye Hour. It is March 3rd, Friday, March 3rd of 2023. Welcome back, whoever's watching or whoever watches it later on. I appreciate all the views and everything. I think we're going to have a couple guests tonight. Maybe A-ARon and Ray again. They've been my guests the last couple weeks, which has helped with conversation and all that good stuff, just trying to hold down the podcast. So, and I have some videos lined up tonight for everybody, and some news and stuff from this week and things I just wanted to briefly talk about and show videos on. All right, check a few things here. All right. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is SpaceX this week did a launch. Actually, it was like yesterday. It's their latest space station crew to orbit for NASA. I did pull up a video for that, and it was actually from the live feed from NASA when they did the live liftoff and everything. And so this is like I think we're on like 9 seconds when I push play here, but it's pretty cool, and I want to show you guys that. So we'll get that ready to pull up here. All right, I'm going to share. Here we are. Let's do full screen tonight. All right, I'm going to play the video for you guys.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power and liftoff. Crew 6. Go Dragon, go Falcon.
There it goes. SpaceX Crew 6, March 2nd launch. It is pretty cool to watch it.
Hearing good call. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
So this crew, I was reading about it. They will stay on the space station for about 6 months. If you look down to the left corner of your screen, it will show the velocity and altitude and live time at that time. It'll take you through the stages, like throttle down. It just popped up on the screen. That's pretty neat that they show you all that stuff. But yeah, they said they will be on the space station for 6 months. One thing I noticed in the article, which I read in other articles when I've read them when they do launches to see like what they're going to be studying, or if they're had specific like little missions when they're up there, because sometimes they try to grow food and they test different things like that. Different science experiments, right? But this time it was just real general, like, oh, we're gonna work on things to learn how to live in space longer, and also how to help us live on Earth better. It was like real weird in general, and I've actually have read like almost word for word that before when they've had launches. So I don't know if that's just like a default line they use because it's real general and a lot of things can be thrown under that. Here we are, velocities.
On his ride uphill. 1 minute 50.
And back chill, whatever that means. Oh, there's a different camera angle. Looking down.
We're about 30 seconds away from
the engine
cutoff, which will be followed quickly by stage separation and second engine start, which is the ignition of that MVAC engine on the second stage.
And these Falcons, these SpaceX Falcons that Elon Musk has engineered and had built, these are the ones that
from main engine cutoff.
When that portion comes back down into Earth's atmosphere, it lands itself. And that's pretty wild. I've watched several videos on it. Pretty amazing.
Stage separation confirmed.
Separation confirmed.
There you can see on your screen.
But it took a lot of tries. They crashed a lot of spaceships before he got it down. That'd be stressful. Crashing a spaceship, because you're trying to learn how to make it land on its own.
Beautiful view there on the left-hand side of your
Just
screen.
millions of dollars up in smoke, it's not a big deal.
Which, as you can see, is still gaining in altitude. It has not yet reached its apogee. A beautiful view of these Florida.
Imagine if they had this technology like a long time ago. That would have been neat.
Meanwhile, we're tracking good performance on that MVAC engine.
I don't know when they're
On the
gonna.
screen to your
I know
right,
there had
we'll be
been
hearing
talks about
periodic
them going
performance calls
going
about
back to the
once every
moon and
minute.
everything, and
The status
I need
of
to
the
read up more, I
trajectory
guess, on that.
of the
And
second
educate
stage of
myself
Crew
because I
6
don't know if they
astronauts.
still are, or
They're
that's
inside
or,
Crew Dragon Endeavour.
or when it's gonna
We'll also be
be.
hearing just like you heard just there, as we pass over
All
various
right.
ground
So I'm gonna
stations
stop
along
that for now. We'll stop sharing. All right. So that was that one. I'll mark that off the list of what I wanted to show you guys. We named this episode The Ides of March. I couldn't come up with a title. I was trying to think of one with all the news or the stories that I had. What would be a good title? A-ARon came up with Ides of March. And I was like, oh, that's what I'm going with. Sounds good. So what are the Ides of March? Does anybody know? So I tried to find this this is just like a 52-second video. And it kind of explains it, I guess, in some ways. It's interesting here. Let's go to that. What is this? There we go. Share and play. Here we
The
go.
Ides of March is just one of the dates in the month of March. It always falls on the 15th. The month of March was actually very important in ancient Rome. Quite often it was the beginning of the year, so it was the time when the consuls would take office. It was also the beginning of the agricultural season, and quite often it was the time when the Romans would begin fighting their war. Hence it's named actually after the god Mars. The Ides of March, as we understand it, is famous for the murder of Julius Caesar, or the assassination of Julius Caesar. We continue to be fascinated by it simply because we love conspiracies. We love the idea of political backstabbing, and this is the ultimate political backstabbing. It's a literal assassination. He actually gets stabbed 23 times.
All right, there you go. There's a little history on it. I definitely think there's more to it. I guess I could try to look it up real quick and see if there's any other. Oh, there's A-ARon. Hello, sir.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. You can hear me okay and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of joined in at the end of the rockets, so I kind of have followed since then.
Yeah, so that's the first video I did was just the yesterday SpaceX launched their latest for the space station crew. They're doing it for NASA, and they're going to be up there for like 6 months. And so I played, it's from the live feed yesterday, and it was just the 10-second countdown. And then I played the video for a couple minutes of them shooting off into space.
Yeah, very cool. The Ides of March.
Yeah. So did you see that video?
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting that March it comes from Mars, which is the god of war, and we associate marching with going to war. And what he was talking about is really that agricultural cycle in ancient Rome is similar to like spring, right? It's when we start to have the agricultural cycle in our society, and there's like this aura in the air as you transition out of winter into spring, and that's also when other things start, like going to wars or when the fighting seasons start. And I think through history, there's this saying of beware, and then of course Julius Caesar was killed, right? Because that happened because of this momentum of the end of the year, the beginning of the year. We're starting, all of that pressure build, but we now just call that like beware of the Ides of March, right? Like that's kind of the watch for the Ides of March, but that goes back to that feeling of change is coming. And I didn't realize that was interesting about Mars.
Yeah, that
and
was
the god of Mars. I didn't realize that connection, but yeah, March and Mars.
Yep, it is interesting.
There's a movie called Ides of March too, which is a political movie, but not that don't stop everything to go watch it.
Right. Okay, my other thing, I did that one. So New York City, they're in the legal system. They have to pay millions of dollars to like hundreds of protesters that were arrested during the George Floyd demonstrations. Yeah. So that happened this week, and I just had a little blurb. That way we could share it with you guys. Okay, here we go.
Well, tonight the city is settling a lawsuit with hundreds of protesters from the George Floyd marches in June 2020. Each protester could get more than $20,000 in this agreement.
Our Fox 5's Linda Schmidt joins us now with more on what police were doing at those protests. Linda.
Yeah, hi there, Steve and Natasha. Well, first of all, the lawsuit is focusing on a policing technique that is called kettling. And that is when officers surround the protesters, they corral them in so they cannot leave, and that it can also make it easier for police to make arrests. Some of the mass demonstrations in the spring of 2020 devolved into rioting and looting. As a result, Mayor de Blasio implemented an 8 p.m. curfew. It was on the second night of that curfew that protesters in the Bronx say they were assaulted, abused, and trapped by police.
That brings back memories
using
of 2020.
what is called kettling, corralling people so they cannot move.
This was a peaceful demonstration, and as the protesters made their way down the street, the police officers stopped them, trapped them before the 8 p.m. curfew, kept them from leaving, and then moved in on them from all sides with overwhelming force. They were swinging their batons at people. They were using their fists. They were spraying pepper spray. They physically picked up a few of our clients and threw them onto the ground.
Attorney Ali Frick is one of the lawyers representing more than 200 protesters. The city has now agreed to pay the protesters several $1 million to settle a lawsuit. It will pay each of them at least $21,000.
It demonstrates very clearly that the city knows that what happened on June 4th, 2020 in the Bronx was unacceptable and it was illegal.
This is one of several lawsuits alleging the NYPD abused protesters who demonstrated following the police killing of George Floyd in Minnesota. The NYPD releasing a statement saying, in part, the time period was a challenging moment for the department. It was during the height of the pandemic as police officers covering the George Floyd protests were met with acts of lawlessness, including wide-scale rioting, mass chaos, violence, and destruction. Joseph Chacalone is a retired NYPD sergeant and an adjunct professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice.
You have to be careful that you're sending the wrong message, too, where basically you're saying that the police are neutered from this point on when you have to deal with a situation of civil unrest.
And also for you on this story tonight, since the 2020 racial justice protests, the NYPD says it has implemented new policies and training for large-scale demonstrations. Steve?
Okay.
Well, that was interesting. Yeah, very interesting. I think I kind of snickered a little bit because, they're going to get paid $21,000 for going to protest.
Yeah, right.
And I remember during all those protests, and it always happens, but especially then, there was this whole dialogue about how George Soros or Steve whatever Bezos or somebody pays these people to come and protest, right?
Right.
Like they're paid protesters. It's a staged act. People can't really be this upset.
Right.
They're really just being paid to act upset.
George
now,
Soros was supposedly behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, ironically, the government is going to have to pay them for protesting.
Yeah, they're crisis actors and all that. They try to bring up that conspiracy theory not only with like protests, civil protests and things like that, but they try to like with the when we have a mass shooting, they say
false flags.
Like, they're like this person was also at Sandy Hook and they were also at this one. It's the same person. And
well, it's like what that guy Alex Jones, he got hit hard for that, and now New York's getting hit hard for being that was interesting. The comment the last guy made about neutering the police.
Yeah.
Like that is not what I understood the situation to be. It was you shouldn't like trap people and then beat them. That is the opposite of neutering the police. Like
yeah, that was an interesting word that he chose to use, I thought.
Yeah.
Neutering the police.
If they're, I mean, not neutering them, being unneutered means they can trap people and beat them? Like, is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
Weird.
You know, it reminds me like, so when I was at K-State, and my degree was in sociology for my bachelor's, and my emphasis was in criminology, right? Which I really enjoyed. But like I had a lot of like police and society classes and different ones like that, which were really interesting. But we talked to, and you know, the world's completely different since I was at K-State, you know, in '98. But like, man, we had lots of debates about the police and, you know, should they be required to at least have like a 4-year degree or some kind of like schooling beyond high school and not just the schooling they get like at the academy, right? And would that help like behaviors of the police, or you know, would it change some of those things if we maybe required them to take some college classes or something, I guess, you know, to just educate their minds more and to be able to look at situations differently, you know, because you get these guys that, you know, they're 18 and they graduate high school and they can, you know, go be a police officer, and some people are fine, you know, they're great police officers their whole career, and you know, but then you have some people that like, you know, they get that feel of power, you know, and that sometimes goes to people's head and that can lead to dangerous situations, you know.
Right. I do think we've made a lot of progress with the police and them requiring trainings and different you know, exposures and things, even around mental health. A lot has been bringing, you know, de-escalating, and in the last 20 years. I mean, I think right now it's hard for the police to even get anybody to work for them, you know, like that's kind of, but the ones that are already there they've gone through a bunch of training. It's just, you can't, if somebody has a mentality that they want to do harm or they think they're above other types of people, they're going to do it regardless of the training.
Yeah, you're right.
So, but we have a new police director in Riley County,
and he's from like Maryland, right?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how he runs things around here. The last director was actually, I thought, really well and did a really good job.
And I apologize. Who was the last director's name?
Director Butler.
Butler, yeah.
Yeah, he did try really hard. He had, I mean, geez, the pandemic and like all these protests and this chaos and students and all the we had so many, all the things that we take for granted in Manhattan with the students and the soldiers could have turned into a lot worse
Yeah,
during
it could have
during the
been.
pandemic and during civil unrest. So
Yeah,
he had a pretty difficult job.
he did. And the new guy's name, what's his name?
I'd have to look, man. I can't remember.
I know he's from Maryland. I do remember that
Yeah.
little bit of information.
Brian Pete. Peete.
Brian Pete. And then, we've got to Smithson, right? That's his last name. That officer that.
Yeah, there's multiple officers have been, really helpful and doing training. And
yeah, I like Smithson. He's a nice guy.
For sure.
Yeah. I feel like he's not of like the old school. Well, not completely old, like the old school programming, like I feel like he's more open-minded and open to accept the changes of the world, so
I wonder how much of that is us getting older and him and us being able to look at the world a little differently. And because I wonder if we still would have been seen law enforcement 20 years ago, like when we were younger, it's just we're in different perspectives now.
Right. Yeah. I was never a huge fan, and it's funny because like my grandpa Archie was an MP in the military, and my grandpa Vernon, which is my mom's dad, he was a police officer in Clay Center. So not a lot, but we've had some, and then definitely military. But I had a point to that. Now I don't know where I was going. Great.
You've had people.
I was trying to. What was my point? Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll remember. Dang it! I hate when that happens.
It's okay.
So Norfolk Southern, that's the company that owns the train that wrecked in East Palestine, Ohio. I think that's a terrible situation that happened. I think it's a big ecological disaster. They're saying like there's dead fish and streams and other waterways. There's wildlife that they have found at least sick and some dead. People have been sick. The air quality's not been good, but the EPA will tell you like, oh, it's okay, but I don't know. And so he has to testify about the train derailments to the U.S. Senate or before the U.S. Senate, because I believe that Norfolk Southern, there's been a couple other train wrecks, and I think at least one of them other ones was also the same company. So,
yeah, and they there was a effort to regulate them better, to create this braking system or some redundancies, and it was deregulated, and some of that's politicized under Trump, but whatever problem existed was not fixed.
Yeah, that's scary. What do you think? Do you think it's a worse situation than maybe? I don't know. I feel like they could be reporting on it more, maybe, and they're not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tough when those are in those locations like that, and then people. It's been a full month or more, right?
Yeah.
I saw something where the governor and some people were there visiting, so I've seen them, and they're working allegedly 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to get that all cleaned up. But
Right.
yeah, it sounds terrible.
I'll play this. It's Chuck Schumer. It kind of goes into how this guy has to testify, but it's just where he demands CEO of Norfolk Southern to testify after the derailment. But I wanted to play a little bit of it here.
Cool.
Yesterday, I called on the CEO of Norfolk Southern, Alan Shaw, to testify before the Senate regarding the horrific derailment in East Palestine. He has not said yes yet. We are renewing our plea. Mr. Shaw, you have an obligation after what happened to testify before the Senate. The accident was awful, devastating to the community, worst of all, preventable, according to the NTSB. But just don't take the NTSB's word for it. We all knew. For years, Democrats have pushed and even successfully secured stronger safety standards for rail around the country.
There you go.
But rail companies spent years pushing the federal government, particularly the Trump administration, to repeal the safety standards intended to prevent accidents like the one that happened in Ohio. Was Norfolk Southern advocating for these rollbacks? Of course they were. Why, after reporting over $3 billion in profit last year, did they lay off thousands of workers in the same year? $3 billion of profits and worker layoffs all at the same time? Wow. More pointedly, why would Norfolk Southern launch a $10 billion stock buyback last year when they could have and clearly should have used that money to upgrade safety equipment? So again, I'm calling on him to testify, Mr. Shaw, as soon as possible. Norfolk Southern, you've broken your trust with the American people. The American people, and of course the people of East Palestine, deserve answers. On student debt, lastly, today
Wow. Oh, sorry.
Arguments will begin on President Biden's student debt relief plan, a plan that is nothing short of a lifeline for tens of millions of Americans, giving them a new lease on life. Now, Republicans talk a big game about helping working people, but today's case, pushed by Republicans who oppose student debt relief, is a slap in the face to working Americans across the country. Let me be clear. 90% of the relief going to out-of-school borrowers will go to those earning less than $75,000 a year. This is not some giveaway to the rich. That's utter bull.
Okay. So, but more about the Norfolk is what I wanted to concentrate on there. But
yeah, that's man, he pretty direct. Those are fighting words from Chuck Schumer.
That's right.
Yeah,
they are.
You've broken your trust with the American people. You have an obligation to come and testify.
That's what he said. Explain to like me or maybe some other people that just may not know, like stock buybacks when companies do that. Can you explain maybe to me and some viewers like what that is?
Yeah, I'm not the best, but what in the general sense is that this, if you have money available, you can buy back parts of stock that are of your own company. It's a publicly traded company, right? But you can, the ownership could buy more of its stock that's out on the market, and that's like a buyback where you're taking back larger percentages of ownership of your own company. Okay. Rather than like what Schumer said, using those funds, those profits or whatever, instead of buying your own company stock, they could have done upgrades to their safety equipment, but they didn't.
Man. Well, there's going to be probably, I don't know how large it'll get on the money they're going to have to pay some of these people, that are going to, I'm sure the lawsuits have already been just flying in.
$10 billion in profit, though. I guess they'll be able to afford quite a big payout.
I can't even.
One train wreck, and that what they have to pay. I'm sure they can afford it. That's the thing. That's the ugly thing about it.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer wouldn't say those fighting words like that if he thought he had authority over they're doing whatever they want with the profits that they want. And the railroaders have always kind of been that way. We get that saying of being railroaded, right? From that.
Yep. I'm looking up something. The next thing I was going to talk about is the weather. There's been some weird weather. So it snowed on the West Coast. That was pretty crazy. They said it's like a once in a generation event. So not once in a lifetime or anything, but once in a generation, which is a big deal. Some of the people, they never hardly ever see snow in their life. It's funny when like places that don't get certain weather hardly ever, and then when it happens, how they react to it. But let me pull up my little clip I had on that. Okay, here we go.
Now to the west, where they are bracing for a new storm after parts got hit hard by heavy snow overnight. Matt Gutman is in Colfax, California for us. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Rob. And this part of the Sierras in California has had over 440 inches of snow. That's 36 feet this season. But this is the snowstorm they're concerned about. They're calling for an extremely dangerous blizzard. This is the first blizzard warning here in 2 years. They're predicting about 7 feet of snow, 50-mile-per-hour winds, whiteout conditions. In Southern California, San Bernardino County, there is a town that is completely cut off. They declared a state of emergency there after last weekend's snowstorm. Now more snow heading their way. You might be able to see I-80 behind me, one of the main east-west thoroughfares in the country. It's already shut down, and officials here are begging folks, stay off the roads. They're saying this is the kind of blizzard that if you do get caught in your car, you might end up being there for a long time. Robin.
You got to keep that in mind, Matt. Thanks so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more.
Okay.
Yeah. So
there's
snow.
that. So
7 feet of snow is a lot, though.
That is a ton of snow, man. Wow.
I was on a call with somebody in, I think they're on Tahoe in Nevada on that side of it. So on the other side of the Sierra Nevadas.
Right.
They said that every day, all day, they're looking at their computers because they're at their offices, right? But they're always checking the avalanche warnings because there's been so much snow in those mountains that there's avalanches happening that haven't ever happened before, and they're in a zone that they'd have to be evacuated immediately.
Oh, I know Brazil. I was trying to pull up a video for that. They have had some heavy rains and landslides lately. That's another thing that's happened since we all talked last time.
Yeah, the torrential rains in Africa.
That too. Let me pull up this. So this is 11 days ago. Hold on here. All right, I found one. Do you think the weather is like the extreme weathers that they're saying we've been seeing over the last couple of decades? The severity is getting worse. Do you think that's because of climate issues?
Yeah, I don't need to be convinced. I mean, like, it's for sure for me. I'm just lucky. I'm just glad that we're not in the zone this year. Like, we're in the eye. We're surviving this year in Kansas.
Yeah. Here's my video. These landslides, see that? Killing dozens and displacing hundreds in Sao Paulo. I probably didn't say that right at all. And their infrastructure, in some parts isn't that great. And when something like this happens, man, like it just sets them back so much.
Yeah. That, I mean, the what 35,000, 40,000 people died in that earthquake in Turkey.
The Turkey one, yes.
Yeah. And I mean,
7.8, and then the first aftershock was a 7.5.
right? Yeah.
Whoa. I remember, was it 2011? Was that the big tsunami? Was that 11?
Oh, there was one in 03, and there might have been another. Yeah, the one in Japan. Yeah, I think that was probably 11. Yeah.
Somewhere around there. Man, I remember me and Tam watching that on the news, and
yeah,
when it was like happening, and they were like, reporting on it, and the footage, man,
That's crazy.
that was wild.
It really puts things, how small we are in perspective.
Yeah.
Like, can be eliminated and wiped off the earth in one event, one major storm.
That's right. Well, this week started, so I'm going to the next topic, which is some sports, and I thought maybe you could help me with this too, with K-State and stuff. But in NFL, the Columbine, the Combine for the NFL started this week. And that's always fun to watch. I have some friends that are really into it. But there's a couple guys, a DJ Turner and I can't remember the other guy's name. DJ Turner and damn it. Anyway, they ran 40s very fast. No. Do you ever watch that?
I'm sorry, like I the combine, I only barely saw a couple highlights. I never really followed it that much.
Yeah. It's just basically for them to see like the new talent that's potentially coming to the NFL and or are going to the NFL. We're going to be drafted, but they go and there's a series of, like the 40-yard dash and all these exercises and, running and catching and throwing and all the things to see what kind of skills they have,
It's essentially back to the Ides of March, where you take the gladiators into the Coliseum, you measure them, you kick them around, you see who's the tough guys, and then you pick who you want to go to battle with. We just call it football.
Yeah, that's right. Rich guys playing football. K-State, update me on K-State because I have not been keeping up as of the last few weeks.
The basketball?
Yes.
Oh yeah, man, like they've been tearing it up. So finished senior night was this week, and so I think it was Tuesday night, and it was a really packed. They had 8 sellouts in Bramlage.
Oh wow!
All right, we started the season ranked last in the Big 12. There was nobody that had bought any tickets hardly. We had a new coach, and he managed to get that place sold out 8 times this year. And so that's pretty impressive. And they're heading into the Big 12 tournament as a contender to win it. Then they're acting like they will. So that's good to see and kind of new. I don't know that I've ever seen a K-State team think they can win the Big 12 tournament like this team thinks it can. And there's people really talking about them making a run in the national tournament. So it's pretty cool.
And the big dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting. The last time K-State went to the NCAA tournament, that was that several years ago.
Yeah, they made a Sweet 16 run in
Yeah.
2018, I think.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking of because it's when we first moved in here. Yep. That was exciting.
Yeah.
This team.
I was going to tell you that the senior night game, there was something super cool that happened.
What's that?
This guy named he went to Manhattan High. He played basketball there. He went to Manhattan Christian College, played basketball there, did well, and then he played for K-State as a graduate student. Basically, he was part of the team, but he was a walk-on, and he got to make the story behind his name's Aubrey, I think, or his last name's Aubrey, but Coach Tang was having, putting these players together, these amazing ingredients, these kind of people from from the Bronx, from Harlem, from Florida, all kinds of, and they were young, just beasts of athletes. And he was praying, he said, for a senior leader for these men that would help them with their faith and keep them on the right track. And he got an Instagram message from this kid at Manhattan Christian College who was thinking about he would be interested in walking on. He saw he just got hired as the coach, and would he entertain the idea of him even playing at K-State? And he said, you check all my boxes. So he walked on and played this season with the team and was the spiritual leader in the locker room. But on senior night, because this is his senior night too, all the crowd started cheering his name in the last minute, this Aubrey kid, and they called timeout, and Coach Tang put him in, and he got the basketball and went down and scored the first and only 2 points in his NCAA career.
Wow.
In front of a sold-out crowd at Bramlage, right? Like, pretty cool.
That's cool. That's cool. They let him in the game to score,
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I like things like that. That is pretty neat. That's funny. We were talking, I was telling Tam. So, Manhattan High, their intramural basketball was like a real big deal when I was in high school. And there was over I don't know, it was somewhere between 450 to 500 kids that played intramural, right? And so in basketball, it was so popular that the one of the hallways, I can't remember which one it is now, I don't know. They had this long wall and they'd put up, so there are so many teams that they had to there was this league and everybody had their divisions, right? And they would update it weekly, and it'd be on those big, white poster paper, from back in the day. But it was really cool, and man, it was such good times. And of course, the team I played with was Northview. My friends that played basketball in Northview, so we've been playing with each other since we're literally elementary. So we knew how each other played, and we were called the Northview Bomb Squad. How corny is that, right? But we thought it was cool. And let's see. So freshmen, we made it to the playoffs, the second game in, but we got beat. Sophomore year, we made it to the game right before the final, the championship, and we lost by 1 point. And then junior year is when we won it. So that was pretty cool. And then senior year, I don't know, by that time, I graduated Manhattan High early, and so I wasn't even there. And some people were, done with high school, but they didn't graduate. You know what I mean? So senior year we didn't really play, but man, freshman, sophomore, and junior intramurals, it was a blast, man. So we'd play the schedule was, I think it was Thursday nights is when they would have games. And so we'd use the North Gym and the South Gym. And a lot of kids would just go to the high school just to watch the games, and stand against the wall and stuff. If they're in the South Gym and the bleachers weren't down, you just had to stand along the wall, But it was a good time. And then we play like on Saturday mornings and afternoons. So it was cool. We had a good time. Like Ray was on the Northview Bomb Squad.
Oh, Ray was dropping bombs.
Yeah, we used to call him. He didn't like it, but just smack talking, But even though he was on our team, but we used to call him oddities, because he had a lot of hair, when he was in high school. Nice, that thick, dark, Greek hair, and it's, I don't know, the style of kind of hair. It was kind of puffy at the time, and I don't know. Someone was like, "You look like oddities" or whatever. So like they'd yell that out when he'd like go up and make a layup, or something, just to mess with him,
Oddities.
Oddities.
Wow.
Man, good times.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can play those 40-yard dash videos real quick. I was going to share. All right, let's see if this pops up. Should be popping up here. All right. So it's already started, so we'll have to watch.
He's fast, man.
Ooh,
Yes,
go
he is.
blue,
Watch it.
DJ Turner.
For stop, start, quickness, he can recover. He's fast, man.
Ooh,
Yes,
go
he is.
blue,
4.27.
For stop, start, quickness, he can recover. He's fast, man.
Ooh,
Yes,
go
he is.
blue, DJ Turner.
And then this guy.
Yep.
152.
He is rolling.
444.
Now, that's a big guy.
There.
Hey, now.
Hmm.
Yep.
152.
He is rolling.
444.
Also, let me see if I can switch over here. Lamar Jackson. So there's been talks of he plays for the Baltimore Ravens, quarterback, obviously. Just an incredible athlete. His stats are incredible to go in and watch. Do you see the Lamar screen or no? No?
Yeah, I see. No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. Anyway, I don't have to pull that one up. But Lamar Jackson, quarterback for Baltimore Ravens, and they've been talking about that they might get traded, or there's rumors he might get like a mega deal, like a big contract extension or something, or like where they tag like franchise players,
Yeah.
Right. Nobody knows. That's just the rumorville about Lamar Jackson for all the football people out there.
Is it like 300 million or something?
I
saw somebody was up for like they had free agency and maybe 300 million. Is that probably him? Maybe is he the top guy out there?
I mean, he's not.
That's available. I mean,
well, he's still in Baltimore, so they're just talking about he might get traded or they might do a mega deal. Nobody really knows. Just a lot of rumors right now, but it'd be crazy if he left Baltimore because he's been with Baltimore like since he came into the league, and it's just weird not to see him on Baltimore if he goes somewhere else. But some team, whoever gets him is, I mean, it's a score, like maybe the Giants could get him because Daniel Jones asked for like 45 million or something, and like, dude, like Daniel Jones ain't that good, man. Like he ran for a lot of yards as a quarterback this last season and all that, but I don't know if he's worth that type of money. The quarterback for the Giants.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson looks like he turned down a 6-year contract offer from Baltimore in last September. So that's probably fueling why they offered him 133 million guaranteed, 290 million deal, 6-year deal, and he rejected it last September.
Huh.
So, man, people are getting paid.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Either running railroads or playing football.
That's right. It's not really. It's NBA news, but it's Kobe Bryant's wife and their kids or her kids. They settled for like they're going to get awarded 28 million from the LA County Coroner and that whole big thing they've been going to court with because of the photos were leaked and stuff of Kobe Bryant. So she's gonna get awarded I have here 28 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder how much they sold the photos for.
I don't know.
Probably not that much.
Probably not. Ugh, I don't know why I do want to look at that anyway, man.
Yeah.
I bet it was rough.
There's a whole industry, though, in the Hollywood around getting those stupid celebrity photos.
Yeah. Let's see. Any topics you would like to talk about, Aaron?
Just no, I'm just happy. I'm here for it. I'm present.
Yes. Well, cool, man. That's most of my little things I wrote down for this week that I just wanted to go over of things that happened this week, and I tried to spread it out more this time, like some space, some the train derailments, the New York paying out for the protesters, some sports,
I'm digging the whole video concept, and that really is helping.
Yeah, me too. I feel like especially and then Antonius, if he's really he's the one to get credit for, because he's the one that was telling me about it last year before we started using it. He was like, we should use StreamYard because it has all these options, and I was like, cool, man. And so he played around with it for a while, and so it was kind of neat that our first video for the 2023 was on the new platform. I've enjoyed it. Now I figured out how to mess with it, so I really like it. I can do tickers, for every new episode and change the color or the background. It's cool.
I think on some of the spots, like where you play the video, like when you were playing the video of the combine, it shows it doesn't show just the video, it shows your whole screen, so it's hard to kind of see the video. It shows all the search and everything.
Yeah, so maybe I need to figure out how to
just show the video.
Just show the video itself. I'll work on that.
Cool.
All right. Well, I guess we can close it down for tonight.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, well, thanks for being a guest on the Red Eye Hour. I appreciate it. And thank you to everybody that watched or that will watch. I get most of my watches throughout the rest of the weekend and the week. So thanks, everybody, for supporting the Red Eye Hour. And we'll see you next Friday.
Cool.
All right. Have a good night. See ya.